This podcast has never been listened to. Do you see the old tagger on it? That's right. Brand new, never been listened to. What? No, you can't listen. No one has ever heard it. Don't look anymore. You've looked at it long enough. Who am I kidding? No one would want to listen to Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
It's time to take an inside look at those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, I am honored, actually, kind of honored and excited because, one, I can't believe this hasn't happened sooner, but I've got speaker, consultant, and the facilitator of numerous social sales success programs. She's a good friend, a heck of a connector, and the person you want to help you navigate the online and social landscape you need. Ready to get chatty today with Beth Granger. Beth, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for inviting me.
We are live on StreamYard across LinkedIn and YouTube, having a ton of fun. For those who are watching this live feed, we've got green and blue as themes here, very, very on brand for each of our own brands here. So we're representing effectively. And let's catch up a little here, if we could. Share with the listeners, Beth, if you could. First of all, what you've been focusing on of late, because obviously we're all here in this social sphere, if you would. And let's talk a lot about the work that you do so our people can understand what you're all about.
What have I been focusing on? So working with individuals and organizations to really embrace the power and use the features within LinkedIn that they might not realize are there. And I'm also quite addicted to Clubhouse and the integration between the two platforms.
So we're going to talk about that in a minute. We'll get to that part of the back part. I want to talk about what is going on, and specifically in LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has been a huge component to this particular podcast. Not only the live feed we're doing right here, informing people of new episodes, starting communication channels. And to somebody that's really good at not only helping individuals figure out the way they can look, you help companies as well. Can you share a little bit about the work you do and what it is about this medium that's attracted you from the very beginning?
Well, when it's a company, it depends on their needs. Sometimes it's just working with the sales team to help them prospect more effectively or bring their networking that they do onto the platform. Sometimes it's working with the marketing team to develop content for the sales team. Sometimes it's working with the entire organization to be good advocates for the organization and spread the word. Right. So it sort of depends on their needs. And what drew me to it? That's a great question. I don't know if I know. I think social media in general, what I love is the community building aspect of it, being able to find a group of people that have your interest or abilities or disease or anything, right? To find your community, build communities and be part of that. So LinkedIn is just one of those places that does it really well.
Let's talk about LinkedIn doing it really well, and also maybe being the most focused, I guess, out of all the platforms because of its business etiquette, I guess, is the right way to think of it, as originally a career resume builder, but it's really become, you don't see people put pictures of their cats or their dogs or their kids across the medium. It's definitely kept a little more professional edge. Do you agree with that?
90-something%. I do see occasionally people pretty much within the past 2 years getting a little bit more personal. Okay. So they might put a picture of something, their family, but then what they're saying about that picture tends to have a business slant. Gotcha. Right? They might be saying, this is why I do what I do, and show their family.
Let's talk about one of the things I know you do really well, and that is you help shape the message and branding of somebody's LinkedIn profile better than most. I actually want to start this on the opposite side of this, what are some of the, I don't want to say the don'ts as opposed to the do's and don'ts. I want to talk about some of the things that you see that stick out when you look at someone's profile and say, okay, they've got some interesting information here, but they're not quite connecting it that well. I think our listeners, and just about every one of them has some kind of LinkedIn account, is always looking at how maybe they can make it better. Let's get it from an expert. What do you see when you see things that aren't quite clicking?
Sure. There are a couple places to look. The first is your headline, which is the text underneath your photo. If you have, for instance, I always pick on Citibank. I don't know why. If your headline says VP at Citibank, that doesn't tell me anything. Practically everybody at Citibank is a VP. So if you're more clear about what you do and who you do it for, it helps people know whether they want to connect with you, refer you. It just makes it more clear and sets you apart. So that's the first part. The second thing is, if you have your own business, you want a business page in addition to your personal profile, even if it's only so your logo shows up instead of that gray box.
Right. And that's talking, for those that aren't familiar, that's when you look at somebody's profile and you see their virtual resume is the best way I could describe it, right? And it gives you the links. It makes it look classier, more professional. Okay, let's talk about some things that are just big no-nos. I'm going there.
Okay.
Give me some things that you have seen that's like, oh no, you just can't do that in LinkedIn.
Well, I actually did a webinar called 9 LinkedIn Landmines, things to avoid doing that could hurt your reputation. So my favorites. The first one, and we've all experienced it, and how much do you hate it? So I don't know why people do it. It's the connect and pitch.
Oh, it drives me crazy. And I get a lot of it. I get a lot of it for this podcast show, by the way, for people to come on Thrive Loud all the time. So yes, continue.
Right. So, and for people, in case they haven't experienced it, although I can't imagine that happening, that's where you connect with somebody that you don't know. And the next thing you get is a pitch for their services in a message. And I've even been seeing people pitch in the connection invite.
Yeah.
What's with that? Don't do it.
Give me some other ones. What other classic ones there in those 9 that you see?
All right. This is one that can cause a debate, and I may actually try to do a debate about it, a friendly debate.
Okay.
It has to do with automation. And I'm not talking about automation like using a tool like Hootsuite or Buffer to share content. I'm talking about the automation that will look for your ideal prospects based on keywords and geography and all the things that you put in, titles. Look at their profile, send them a connection invite, do a whole chain of communication. Just don't do it. There are no shortcuts to relationships.
No.
Some of them are pretty hard to tell that it is, but what happens is I have my job title is actually a sentence on my profile. So sometimes I'll get a message and it'll just insert job title, and it sounds so awkward because it puts the whole sentence in, and it's not somebody actually typing it.
Oh my goodness. And it's very true, by the way, because I do realize a lot of people have really good descriptors, and there are algorithms that look to send you all of this stuff, but I think it's really important. I've always loved what LinkedIn does, and that is they don't call it you a friend or a follower. It's a connection. And that's actually something that's very much in line with what I'm always about. So I've always found that to be really good. Let's talk about some of the amplified things going on, specifically the one we're doing right now, which is more and more. There are live feeds, more videos, more content, very, very focused to the business community and whatnot. Talk to me about what you've been seeing that you like and things that are really helpful in helping to extend your brand personally or professionally.
Well, I love it. I love that there are multiple ways that you can share your thoughts, your expertise, your ideas, your questions. And I like experimenting, both for me and my clients, experimenting with the different types to see which part of my network reacts to which. So some people are very visual. They might like a PDF. They might like an image. Other people like to read. And so they might prefer to engage with a text post. And of course, I love going live on LinkedIn.
Okay, so you mentioned it at the top of the hour. There's other mediums out there. Twitter's hard to navigate through. That's my own personal opinion. I'll say that. and obviously Facebook has a lot more of that personal component to it. And there's very good uses for that, by the way, as it relates to it. But professionally, of late, not everybody is familiar with it because it's very new to the scene. You want to talk about Clubhouse and maybe a little addiction you have going on with it?
I do. So it's still in beta, and it's only for the iPhone at the moment.
Right.
And it's spreading like crazy among people that I know. I was invited on November 21st, so I've been on it a little over a month. And
2 months.
Yeah,
the time we're recording this in late January. Yeah. So
it's an amazing thing to me. If LinkedIn is like networking kind of online, this is like being at a conference where you might be in a breakout room and you're talking to the people that you're sitting with and getting to know them. You're raising your hand and speaking to the speakers, or maybe you're the speaker. So you're meeting people and having these conversations. And then if you connect on LinkedIn, you already know them. Right. So for instance, I met somebody in a Clubhouse room and they sent me a connection invite. If they had just sent me a connection invite out of the blue, there's this level of suspicion almost because of the connect and pitch and that kind of behavior. Why do they want to connect with me? Who are they? But I've already met them and had a conversation. So it's just a fascinating thing. I don't know where it's going to go. Like I said, it's still in beta. People are experimenting. There was a performance of The Lion King that was done on Clubhouse. People are pushing it to its limits and seeing what it can do.
I've heard some. So I also am a new member for the listeners in this. I joined very recently, within about the last 10 days. I even hosted a room. And to exactly your point, Beth, the connections are unbelievable. To hear a conversation, for those that are old enough, it's basically like the updated version of Party Line. You see the people you have, and it's a voice only operated social media network. It's basically you're coming in, there's no video, it's just somebody's icon, and then they're speaking in a room. You could see they're there, you could raise your hand to speak, or you can just be a fly on the wall and listen. And what's really good is there's incredible content. A lot of these rooms are very well thought out with a lot of thought leaders, people who are on podcasts and things like this, which is really cool. We're doing one tonight about podcasting. It's at 7 p.m. should you want to join as we're doing this live here. Hopefully it'll be really good. But on the flip side, I've heard some other interesting things, and that is that there's been some very unique topical things. The valuation of Clubhouse has gone through the roof, and there have been those who feel like it's, they're talking about women's rights and development, but there's no women on the board, or minorities' rights and developments, and that hasn't been there. So it's even tapped into the political landscape, which is really kind of interesting, but also a really good point. But I think what's great about it, what you just said, it's the conversation. Conversations are so important to have. You can reach out to people, and to have that conversation is where you want to go. And whether it ends up being LinkedIn, or whether it ends up being doing business with them, or coming on as a guest as a podcast, the ability to fast track and network in just one space on your phone is pretty cool. That, I will say, is something that's there. Yeah. I have a feeling it's going to jump the shark maybe a little quicker, because once it hits a certain capacity, it could be really difficult to get that level of connectivity that you had right at the time that you get there. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I wonder about that myself. Will it get so noisy that it'll be hard to find the conversations that you want? I think that's where being a member of clubs could be important, right? So that there's a way to sort of narrow down the conversations. But one of the things that I right now love about it is the ability to be a fly on the wall in a conversation I would not normally be part of.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So many topics or industries or anything you want, right? There are conversations about everything. And sometimes I will go just to listen to understand what people are talking about and what their experience is.
What I have found as a podcaster, and the listeners know this, most of my guests do all the talking. What's really interesting is going on panels with other podcasters is really cool, because now we get to speak about what's going on in the space, what we like, what we don't like, what's working, great tips. And so many people who want to either be guests or hosts or new hosts and trying to figure out the success. That for that aspect in that avenue, great. And I've seen it they had a VC room, a venture capital opportunities, new companies. I even saw one for healthcare workers around what's going on today in COVID. So that idea of a clubhouse, it's a really sharp idea, and they're trying to minimize what it is. It isn't just all video; it's your voices, and the tech is pretty good. I do agree with you. I think the minute that they exploded up to Androids and Samsung phones, it'll be very interesting to see how that all works. So very cool.
For now, I think it's worth investing the time, and you will invest a lot of time if you go there, just because you'll get sucked in. But
so Beth,
so far,
this year, being the end of 2020 and now moving to 2021, look, a lot of people had to reshape what they do, worked on a lot of their messaging. I imagine you were pretty busy.
very busy, very busy. I think part of it is even clients that I'd had in the past where I was a speaker, say at their sales meeting, reached out over the past months to say, it's not that we weren't paying attention, it's just that it was part of our bigger mix, and now we can't go out and meet with people in person. We really need to use these online ways of communicating. And can we have a refresher, please?
No.
So yeah, I have been.
Let's take it as someone who's really an expert in the messaging of a brand of another individual on these platforms. There's so many of them, by the way. There's other ones we haven't even talked about. If you were to look ahead and look at some of the big four, we'll call them, that's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram, I believe qualify as the big four. Is there a winner in that bunch? Do you see down the road?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball. I will say that, there are the people that say, oh, Facebook's going to go away because the age range is higher, and those people are going to literally go away themselves. I don't really know. I think there will always be change.
Yeah.
Maybe Microsoft would buy Clubhouse. Maybe Twitter would add audio. Maybe it's really hard to say. I personally feel, and not just because it's the place that I spend most of my time, that LinkedIn is the most stable in terms of, maybe it's because they're owned by Microsoft or just because it's a business platform. They're less likely to have any of the challenges or problems that some of the other platforms have had.
Yeah. When Microsoft bought LinkedIn for $27 billion, I believe was the number, I remembered said, oh my God, it's over, because I was like, the world has ended. There's no way in the world this is going to work out, any possible growth. But I don't even think this is inaccurate. That might be a steal down the road. The ability to have access to every working professional in this medium who are all, tapping into people like Beth to make sure their messaging is right. It is a forum that you have to be on, is what I'm getting at. I've got 2 college-age kids, and both of them have their LinkedIn profile. They have to have it, and they know the importance of it. And it's totally different than the other mediums, the Snapchats, the Instagrams, the Facebooks that they're on. And that's an impressive thing that they've done. And what makes it even better, and for people like you who are helping people do it right, as you look forward for this year, what are some of the things that you're excited about, maybe as we start getting a little bit more in person or be a little more hybrid, how that's going to impact the work that you do?
Well, for me, it'll be lovely to be out in the world and get to present in person and train people in person and just meet with people in person. I think we all miss that just as humans. And there's something about when you're in person, you can see if somebody's confused in their eyes, whereas on screen, sometimes you miss. It's harder, I think, to capture that and understand that. Whereas when you're in person, it's just something about the energy in the room.
Very true. Let's do the admin part of the show, Beth, if you could. Share with the listeners all the places people can find you, where they can find you in social media, which will be more fun. We'll put it all in the show notes, but it always gets more engagement when they hear it from you.
Sure. So on LinkedIn, I'm linkedin.com/in/Beth Granger. On Twitter and Instagram, I'm Beth Granger Says. On Clubhouse, I was Beth Granger Says, but now I'm just Beth Granger.
Okay.
I decided to change it, make it easier to find. I have a website, but I don't really use it, so don't go there. And
I like that. Hold on, I want to comment. I like that. You've got I'm spread too thin on all these social channels and the website and the pain in the neck that it is. I don't even go there. Just meet me at LinkedIn. Just go catch me where I need to be. I love that. All right. You have not done this yet since you are a new guest on this program. So you're going to have a lot of fun here, Beth.
Okay.
Beth, we are going to go down Fun Street here on Thrive Loud. And to start things off, we're going to go with our signature question. I have no idea where this is going to go, so I'm very curious. Mm-hmm. Beth, do you have an all-time favorite movie?
Yes.
What would that be?
Charade. It's an old movie with Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn and Walter Matthau.
Why does that movie connect so much with you?
I don't know. It's funny. Comedies aren't usually my thing, but something about it. It just, I like it. I don't know why.
Beth, this rarely happens to someone who's much of a movie fan as I am. I'm writing this down and I'm going to go see this movie. I'm going to search for Charade because I don't think I've ever heard of it. You just, with that cast alone, I can't believe I haven't, but I'm going to check it out. And I will let you know how it goes. All right. So now we're going to do the Fun Street speed round. The way this works is I'm going to ask you something and I want the first thing that comes to your head. The first thing that makes you feel good, that lifts you up, that makes you thrive. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. A song you love to hear or that pumps you up.
Yeah, This Is Me from the soundtrack of The Greatest Showman.
Gotcha. Favorite food that's not a dessert?
Sushi.
Favorite dessert?
Chocolate mousse.
An activity you wish you did more of?
Oh. Well, now anything, going out in the world.
An activity you wish you did less of?
Organizing paper.
If you could snap your fingers and go anywhere in the universe, where are you?
Oh, well, something I didn't tell you because maybe it's my second favorite movie. I'm a time travel fanatic. So I think I would go somewhere forward or back in time just to see what it's like.
Is Back to the Future your second favorite movie?
It's up there in the top 10, yeah.
I'm a big fan of Michael J. Fox for lots of reasons. Spectacular stuff here. The last question I go out there, I guess, if you could host a room or let me make it clear. Let's make it even more fun. If you and I hosted a room in Clubhouse, what would you want the topic to be?
I have no idea, but we should do it.
Okay. Well, that's something for you to chew on. Some idea, because it'll be a good conversation. I think we could figure maybe.
And I got a club, so I have a club now.
Beth has a club. What's the club? Give the plug for the club.
It's called the club in Clubhouse is called Social Sales Essentials. It's hard to say, but I love the alliteration.
Then I guess that would be one of the topics that we do that. I like it. Very cool. Beth Granger. Beth Granger says one of the mediums we need to go where it is. The person you need to know when it comes to connecting and getting the right profile on Message and LinkedIn. Thank you so much for coming on Thrive Loud. Glad we finally did it.
Finally. Thank you. So much fun.
You got it. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.